Good morning and welcome to today's Facebook Live. My name's Jenny McCormack. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator and I'm based in Brackley in the UK. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I've been sharing this week some of the cards we've made at Coffee and Card, and that has featured the Plentiful Plants stamp set and accessories. On Monday I showed you this card here that we made, and this was made just with the papers and nothing else, so just fussy cutting the papers, and that included the brick wall, this background piece, the pot, and we added a little bit of dimension to the pot as well, and the leaves, and then the sentiment is from the Plentiful Plants. So that's what we did here on Monday. Morning, Kerry, thanks for joining us. And then yesterday I made these two cards. So this was actually using the stamp set and this lovely embossing folder behind it. And I just showed a little technique of some masking using this oval from the watercolor shapes stamp set, which has just disappeared off my desk for the minute, to create this effect here, and then went on to do this one here. And again, the sentiment is from Plentiful Plants. Now, one of the other cards we made at our Let's Get Creative and also our Coffee and Card this week is this one here. And for this, what I've done is I've used these lattices, these paper lattices. They come in a pack of 10 and they're made of like a craft card. So they're quite substantial. They're not sort of fine. And what I've done is I've used it as a stencil. So placed it onto my base card, and then using a blending brush and a coloured ink, in this case this is just jade, just rubbed over the lattice to create this lovely background. And then I've just stamped some sentiments from Create with Friends, which is this one here. So I put some of the words together, so let's create together. And for this one, you're amazing. So there's some great combinations that you can make out of this. So you can have friends together, friends forever, let's create, let's be friends, let's celebrate, happy, I put something with that. Happy day, be happy. So lots of combination. Best day ever, for example. I need to sort of make a list of all the ones that you can make out of it, really. Hi Carol, and hi Jeanette. So this is that's the Create with Friends. So that's what we did for Let's Get Creative, and also at our recent card class. So I thought I would do that, but maybe with a different sentiment altogether. So these paper lattices have been used quite a few times. So they will get a little bit inky, but the ink, because they're paper as opposed to an acrylic mask, try to take that tiny piece off, it doesn't want to come off. You can see there's a bit of discoloration where the ink has gone on, but you can use them over and over again. And you can use them and then turn it over and use the other side. And obviously you can use them as a lattice in their own right. And you will have seen probably this sample that I've shown. Sorry, it's in a plastic cellophane bag. Or this one here. This is what we actually did for the Let's Get Creative. And this is featuring the dies and the die cuts from that Plentiful Plants set. So I thought I'd recreate this and I had in mind of doing a brighter background. So viewer's choice for colour today, and I've got a choice of doing it on this background, but I think I'm going to do it on a larger white card, which I have here. So with any of the stencils, you can either just hold them, oh sorry, I've gone croaky, just hold them down if you prefer, or you can use a little bit of masking tape to hold it in place if you're not very confident about keeping it in place. Okay, as you can see, this one's a little bit bent as it's been in my bag, so I am going to tape this one down. And of course you don't have to do the center. You could do an area up here and an area down here and have your sentiment in the middle. So I might do one each of that style, just because I haven't tried that yet. Let me see if I can find my masking tape. It's probably in one of my pots from yesterday. Indeed it is. So I hope everybody is well. So just going to use a little bit of this magic tape, some scissors here, and this will stick down but without tearing the paper when you come to remove it. And I am going to grab a piece of grid paper, mainly to use my blending brush on. That's the main thing. Let's move this all out of the way. Clear a little bit of space. Okay, that looks good. So I know Carol would opt for orange, but I wonder what anybody else would choose. Jeanette would probably choose purple. So let's see. And this can go either portrait or landscape. So just going to pop that on there and this on here. That should be fine. I might actually put one on each corner, as it's buckled slightly. I think it was loose in my bag. There we go. So do shout me any colour combinations you fancy. There we go. So I've got a piece of spare grid paper. Let me just see what we have. Oh, Kerry's got Be Happy. Hi, Zana, sorry. I'm in the background while Catherine's working. Kerry says blue. Ooh, soft pink. Ooh, so I might do one blue and one soft pink. I'm liking that idea. So let's do blue first. Let's find my blue blending brush. So let's grab I've got a bit of Misty Moonlight and Balmy Blue. So I'm going to start with Balmy Blue, and then I might add in a little bit of Misty Moonlight on the edges. So I hope everybody is well and has a nice day ahead planned. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is see how much ink I've got left on my blending brush. Just pick up some ink like so. Okay, and I'm just going to blend here in the centre. So I'm going to do this one in the centre, and then I'll do the other one coming in from the edges. I've stuck that down. I hope that's in the right place for you to see. So you can just do a small area. You could do the whole thing if you wanted to, including the edge. So this is really therapeutic way of getting a quick background. So you could use any die cuts as well for your background. So if you've got a die cut of foliage, for example, you could use that. That would be really effective. So you can just lift up one edge and have a look at it. If you can see that going in there. So I'm just going to blend in a little bit of Misty Moonlight. Just blend that back down again. So can you see where you've got a larger area here where I've sort of pounced the ink? So this is why I always use a separate piece just to take off some of the ink. And it's such a small amount. People say to me sometimes, aren't you wasting the ink? But there's just such a small amount really. I'd rather waste a little bit of ink and get the result I want than have, you know, too many blotches. So I'm just blending this into Misty Moonlight on the outside of both of these. Now I seem to have come down further than I have at the top. So I'm just going to take this up a little bit. Like so. And if you notice, I'm using my blending brush on the side. That's just giving me a little bit more control because it's a smaller area that's hitting the paper as opposed to the whole area. So let's have a look at that. Problem with this tape is so much you can't actually see it. So what I'll do is I'll take these two off on the right hand side and then lift it up. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. Hope you can see that okay. So I think I can go a little bit darker. So I'm going to carry on with that. So just adding a bit more ink again. On either side. This would make a nice sort of background for a sea scene, wouldn't it? Okay, so let's take this off and have a look. Now, because it's quite obvious where this stencil went, you could, if you weren't happy with it and wanted to replace it, you could just place it back on. That would work fine because it's quite obvious where those pieces are. So can you see that effect now? So I've got a two-tone effect. Lift this one off. There we go. So it creates a really nice mosaic. So this would work sideways on or in portrait, whichever way you want it. And I have got Happiest of Birthdays because I thought that would look really nice in the centre, right on top of that. What do you think? And I might use Night of Navy to really make that stand out. Just bring my phone over. And see what's going on. So this is Balmy Blue in the centre and Misty Moonlight along the edges. And then I'm going to add Night of Navy as my sentiment in the middle. That's my plan. Let me just catch up with any comments. When it gets there. Sorry everybody. We'll find it, or find myself eventually. There we go. Morning, Jill. Oh, Kerry's got a cold day. Oh, poor Zana. Off to help a friend clean their new home, but she's aching like anything before she starts. Oh, bless you. Yes, Kerry, I was thinking I've got a lot of nephews' birthdays. So I thought this would be perfect. So, Night of Navy I'm going to use. So, put those together. And wishing you the happiest of birthdays. I love this sentiment. It's great for inside or outside of your card. Let me grab a larger block though. There we are. Okay. So I'm going to try it out on here because I'm not sure what this Night of Navy ink pad is like. Oh, it's getting there. Go. So I'm going to try it on here because I want to see how well it's stamping. Not brilliant. Let me try my other Night of Navy. So if it's got, although I know this is on scratch paper, so it's not quite as detailed anyway. Let's see if this is better. That looks much better. Okay, so I'm taking ink to the stamp, and that helps me from catching any of the stamp in the ink bed by pushing too hard. So if you do have that problem, then try taking your ink to the stamp, not the other way around. Right, I'm just going to go for this. So I'm going to put this in the centre, hoping I've got it roughly centred. So nice amount of pressure. It's quite a big stamp. I could use my Stamparatus as well. Excuse me. Morning, Tracy. There we go. Wishing you the happiest of birthdays. So I'm going to layer that up onto maybe 2 layers of cards. So I might add Night of Navy or Misty Moonlight, followed by Balmy Blue. Let's have a look. So I'm thinking to layer this onto Night of Navy and then onto a Balmy Blue card. That's my plan. So I just cut this down. When I can find my trimmer. It's here somewhere. Well, I've got 4 trimmers. Right, let me just cut this one down. So I'm going to put this as a layer. Just going to use my older guillotine. So that's going to go behind that. and then this will be my card base. I could use white as well. There we go. That piece of card is just out of reach. Don't worry about the capitals, it's fine. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's so easy to catch the capitals, and especially if you're on a phone where it has a mind of its own as well, doesn't it? So I'm looking for my bone folder. Just going to fold this in half. Excellent. So we were lucky enough to have a team meeting last night, and we do some mystery stamping, and Joe Humphrey, one of our team members, ran the mystery stamping, and it was a really nice pinwheel card. Quite a few layers of cardstock and papers, but they were really stunning. So that was good fun. Okay, so I'm going to put this on here. I am going to trim this down because I've got a little mark there. So I'm just going to take this a little bit smaller, which will actually give me a larger border. So I'm just going to trim a little bit off. Of that mark, you see. So now I've got a larger blue border. I think that works quite nicely, makes that more of a focal point. Let me just see. I need to, no, I'm going to stick with that. So I didn't really measure it, I just sort of cut the ink mark off. So let's layer this up. I'm just going to keep this nice and plain. Yes, Tracy is going to be busy. It's all really good. And I'm really pleased that our online classes are now in person as well. So lots of bookings coming in for my Brackley location and my Milton Keynes location. And also some international people joining us, because you have the option to just join us for the live class and all the resources, all the recorded videos for people who obviously aren't in the UK and can't get the kit. So we are going well. So busy month for July. Thank you, Kerry. Okay, so there we are, wishing you the happiest of birthdays. So now I'm going to do one, I think, where I've got it coming in from the edges, just to see how that looks. I could add one of our bumblebees. What do you think? As it's a man's card, I don't want to put flowers or gems on. What do you think? Or just leave it plain? So I would normally add sequins or something to that. Okay, let me know what you think, whether it needs the bumblebee or not. Oh, brilliant, Carol. Love it. Okay, let me know if the bee needs to go on. So let me do similar sort of thing, but bringing the stencil in from the side this time. So I put it somewhere safe. It is. or a different, no, it's the same one, that's fine. So if you're switching from one stencil to another, just make sure that you're keeping the ink side up and you don't put the ink side straight down. Okay, it does dry really quickly, so you don't really have to worry about it, but just so that you're not contaminating your next one, you could just press it down onto some grid paper to make sure, but as I say, there's very little because it's dried on here. And even when you've used all this, you can still then use this as a lattice, a trellis, whatever you want to. And I've seen people cut this up so you get different effects. Cut it down so that you've got a small amount of trellis, all sorts of things. So what I'm going to do is position this so that my corners are covered. I'm not going to come right the way to the middle, like so, and I can see this tiny little bit in here. Just want to see if I can snip that off. So it will certainly be nice to be back in person, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up here, making sure that I've covered the corners. That's my critical point, really, like so. Put my magic tape down. Oops, but not on there. So I want to go right up to the edges. Like so. I'm going to wipe my surface down, but obviously if you wanted to, you could put this onto some grid paper so that you're not marking your surface, which reminds me I need to replace this piece here. It's getting a little bit inky. Right, so Carol's suggestion was a pale pink. Shall we go with that? I'm just going to put this put some tape on here. Like so. No B. Add the B. Okay, I'll take a vote on the B later. Okay, so let's grab a pink. So I've got petal pink and flirty flamingo. So this would make a nice baby card, wouldn't it? Or young girl's birthday. Right, so I have a pink blending brush. Let me bring this back in. Okay, so you can see the ink dries, even though it's stained. You can wash these. Just wash them with a little bit of washing up liquid and let them air dry. Okay, and then they'll come out. But there will be obviously a little bit of staining. So I'm going to use my petal pink. And let's see where we go from here. Okay. So coming in from the edges. So I don't want a harsh, I mean you could use it to get a harsh line, but I don't want a harsh line. I want it to look like it's sort of almost like a faded tile sort of look, if that makes sense. So I want it to go off the edges in the pattern. But I don't want to come along to this harsh line here, if that makes sense. So I want to make sure it stops and starts in different places. Now, one thing I can see that you probably can't is that some of the blue ink is being picked up and moved by my brush. So this might end up with a sort of blue-pink combination. So we'll see. It might be a nice effect, it might not. Okay, so I want this edge to be really soft. Let's have a look and see how that looks. So you can see a little bit of this blue here. So I quite like it. It wasn't really the colour of choice, but I quite like the effect actually, just as well. Otherwise I'd just restart it. So I'm happy with that as is. Just going to add a bit of definition in here, like so. There we go. And then to make it easier, I'm going to turn it round and do the same thing here, this way. So I'm wondering whether, well, as I've got that colour on there, that mixed blue and pink, I'm going to do the same here. So, and then I could actually have my sentiment going like that. Okay, let's have a look. So I can either bring this down, let's have a look and see. Let's see how that goes. So there we go. Note, if you've used, it's because I used the darker blue, which I hadn't used previously. So if you do use two sets of colours, one straight after the other, either let the ink dry completely or turn it over carefully and use the reverse side. Quite a nice combination actually, but not really where I was coming from, but best plans, eh? Oops, it's moved a bit. Okay. So I want to make sure it's going off the edges. So it's almost like sort of worn tiles. Let's do a little bit more. Have a look and see. Yeah, so I did move it slightly, so it's got a slight Bit of movement there. Do you know what? I'm going to start that again. Yeah, not happy with that. With the colour mixing, I mean that was okay, but I've moved the stencil. So let's do that. We're going to grab a different one of these if I can find a spare one. Here we go. So that I've taken the blue ink out of the equation. Okay, let's try again. Sorry everybody. Okay. Oh, thanks Jeanette. Have a good day, my dear. Okay. So. Oh, there it is. There we go. Right. Okay. Second time round. So this is petal pink. Dear, dear. Right, here we go. So just bringing this in from the edge. There we go. So I'm just doing it a little bit softer here, so I've got less of a harsh edge. But you could do it quite deliberately if you wanted to. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Turn it around. And the only reason I'm turning it around like that is so that I'm coming at it at the same angle. So again, just making sure that I've covered all the edges. There we go. So here we are, Wednesday. Let me see. Give us a clue. Is it the 13th? Or the 14th? 14th. 13th? One of those in July, for those that are watching live. Oh. This might be a die cut in the centre. Yeah, I can just about get away with that. To reposition that on there. So. Thank you, the 14th. I should know that really, shouldn't I? Okay. All right, so I've got a really nice mark there. So I'm going to put a die cut piece in the middle here. Oh dear, best laid plans, folks. Right, see what I've got. I'm hoping I might have got something. If I had, I know that's the wrong colour. 2 layers. I bet I haven't got a die cut in petal pink. It's a little bit too big, but that sort of works, doesn't it? Right. Or let's have a look in my little box of white pieces that might layer onto that, or I could cut another one out. I've got a tag which is a bit too big. It's too big. Let's have a look. That sort of works because of the lines, but I'm not 100% convinced. I don't know. That's a bit too big. How is it you can guarantee to never have the right combination? Dear, dear. Right. About this one. It's from the rectangles. Oh, that might be winning. Hi, Babsy. Well, yes, I'm not sure about happy accidents, but we'll see what we end up with. I quite like it with this is Calypso Coral, which is actually slightly faded. It's been in my window, but in fact it sort of works quite well for that, doesn't it? Let me just see if there's anything else to hand that would do. I hope you're well today, Babsy. Thanks for joining us. Yes. Thank you. My UPS delivery. Ooh. Okay, I think I'm going to go with that. And I'm only putting that on to cover up this ink mark here. Good. I'm thinking it might go like that. And let's see what will fit in there. That happy little bit late birthday might fit. It does indeed. So really not what I had in mind, but I think it will work. And I might use Calypso Coral for that layer. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah. So just inking that up. Position this centrally, and then I'll look for some bling that will match that. There we go. So that's going to go onto there. Almost looks like ombre, doesn't it? I can assure you it isn't, it's just slightly sun bleached on one side. Okay, so I've got a happy little bit late birthday. Going to look for a Calypso Coral card. So I took it out of the petal pink really, didn't I? So sorry about that. It started off pale petal pink and then we got completely sidetracked. Okay, let's have a look and see how this is going to look. So I've got that layer there, this one, and that one. Yep, I reckon that works. So it's not quite the same pink. So I could, well, there's two things I could do. One is I could do it over. I could do it with a darker background. This was my first port of call. So it just looks too blue because it transferred some of that ink. So I think I'm going to stick with that as my design. So I'm going to pop this one up, this one flat, and then the next layer on dimensionals. There we go. So I'm going to centralize that between the two, like so. Let's adhere this layer. So lesson learned. If you're using a stencil and you can't clean it, either let it dry in between completely or turn it over and use the other side. There we go. Okay, this is going to go up on dimensionals. Let me grab some of those. I only had them yesterday. I think I have a mystery dimensionals thief in my house. So just going to pop these on like so. Like that. Find my bling. Need to put my glasses on to find it. And then look for something that's going to coordinate with those. So let's see what I've got. So from the sequins, I've got those orangey ones. So that would, I think that would definitely work. So that's one option. And let's see what else. I've got the opal rounds. That's the darker version. It might look quite nice too. Gold. And that's the orange. So let's have a look out of those. What we think looks best. And then we're done. So, what do you think? The ones on the left or the ones on the right? So left are more orange, right are more pinky. I think it's quite difficult for you to see against that. What do you think? Left or right? Right, left. So we've got one of each so far. Okay. So we've got more for the left at the minute. 2 for the left, 1 for the right. Let's put these away. Oh, left is a clear winner, which is interesting because in daylight this one looks, here this one looks nicer, but I'm going with that one because it's still in keeping. So I'm going to do, I'll put them on these little joins. So I've got 1, 2 and 3, like so. There we go. I think we rescued that after a shaky middle to our video. So let me show you the finished cards. So this was the original design. So I wanted to go darker and with mixed colours. So we've got Balmy Blue and Misty Moonlight, and then I stamped the sentiment with Night of Navy. And then this one here, we started off with Petal Pink and didn't come out quite as I wanted it to, but we got there in the end. I wanted to see how it looked with the 2 edges rather than the centre, and then added the sequins and the sentiment with some layers. So there we go. I hope you like our final designs. I'm going to leave this one without the bee. That was the best suggestion. So thank you for that. I will be back, let me see, tomorrow Thursday at 7 p.m. For some more crafting and card making. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. You take care, look after yourselves and your loved ones. I hope you can keep crafting. If you want to join my classes, just comment. If you haven't received my email, I will add a link on my Facebook page this morning. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you joining me and putting up with me. Take care. Have a good day. Lovely to have you join me. See you soon. Bye for now.